Three heads, old yang. Three tails, old yin. My last trip at the beach. Ruby Beach, I found this. Looks very much like a snake. Anyway, pretty cool. Two heads, one tail, young yin. Two tails, one head, young yang. Two tails, one head, young yang. Two tails, one head, yang yang. We'll be getting our trigrams and hexagrams from I-ming, Walking Your Path, Creating Your Future, written by Hilary Barrett. It's a nice introductory I-ming commentary. Our first trigram will be read as solid, broken, broken, or our bottom trigram could be called. Which is Zen thunder. Thunder is shock, upheaval, and the spark of the new. In old Chinese belief, thunder slept in the earth over winter and erupted from it in spring, awakening living things into new growth. Thunder is our basic drive for renewal. He inspires initiative and decisive action. He is the stimulus that sets things in motion. He is the eldest son in the trigram family, the first connection of heaven, potential, with earth, realization. Yang makes itself known here, emerging into the field and beginning to grow. Thunder belongs to the east and to spring. And our top trigram, or outer trigram, will be read as solid, 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 which is Qian, heaven. Qian is superhuman cosmic law. Enduring, he determines the nature and development of all things, from the movement of the stars to the cycle of the seasons, to causing each individual seed to grow into its own kind of plant. Heaven is creativity in its pure form, the force that drives change and what endures within it. He confronts us with truth and what it demands, both as the absolute law of nature and as the challenge of individual calling, experienced as an inner law. He is both the awareness of what to do and how to be, and also the power to act on it. Heaven is Father, found in the northwest, the realm between autumn and winter, when the buds set and the seeds fall to earth. So our primary hexagram will be Qian, heaven, above Zen thunder, which gives us the hexagram 25. Once our first and second lines transform from old yang and young yin to young yin and old yang and young yin. Jeesh. Okay, I got this. Old yang to young yin and old yin to young yang. That will give us a bottom trigram of broken, solid, broken, which is Kan, water. Kan is deep water, flowing and formless. He is the complement of Li, dark where Li is bright. Li is fire and light. Unconscious to her sharp lucidity, and represents a more fluid, intuitive, and emotional way of perceiving. This is danger, exposure, and solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted by the haunting unknown. Water is the middle sun, situated in the north, associated with midwinter and midnight. Qian, heaven, above Kan, water, gives us hexagram 6. We'll be getting the titles for our hexagrams from the Taoist I Ching by I-ming, which he wrote in 1796 as a Taoist adept. Hexagram 25 is Fidelity, no error. Vigorous advancement of celestial energy, attention to reality. And our supporting hexagram 6. Contention, depending on strength because of danger, causing danger by depending on strength, conflict due to imbalance. So fidelity, no error above contention. We will start out reading from Hilary Barrett's I Ching, Walking Your Path, Creating Your Future. To understand the question we bring to the I Ching, that question having the general context of how can I act in creative relation with the spirits or forces shaping this moment, we will understand that answer when we understand how the parts of our reading work together. The key to understanding a reading is to know your way around its main components, how they fit together, and the different roles they play. If your reading includes changing lines, then you will need to understand primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines together. The two hexagrams in conversation with one another map out your whole answer. The primary hexagram shows you quite directly what your answer involves. The relating hexagram generally describes what the answer is about for you. It sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, an influence, a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. If the two hexagrams map out a landscape for you, then the changing lines stick a pin in that map to say you are here, or at least here are some places you may find yourself. They are the immediate answer to your question. As the most specific, focused part of a reading, their message always takes precedence over all other elements. For example, the primary hexagram might describe a reassuringly secure situation, but a changing line could warn how insecure your position is within it. So, hexagram 25. Primary hexagram is called in this commentary without entanglement. Key questions. What is real? What is genuinely your responsibility and what is not yours at all? Oracle. Without entanglement. Creating success from the source. Constancy bears fruit. One who is not upright commits blunders, and it is fruitless to have a direction to go. To be entangled is to be caught up in futile, groundless things, deluded beliefs or reckless actions, or a compulsion to rewrite the past or control the future. When you are without entanglement, you recognize what is not yours, and you will not take it on. Sometimes other people's problems are not yours to solve. Sometimes bad things happen to you and are not your responsibility. Freedom from entanglement brings extraordinary energy. It liberates the whole creative flow, from source to enduring fruition, natural and spontaneous as a growing plant. This is the creative potential latent in the present moment. To connect with it, you need to be conscious of your place on the earth and set yourself straight accordingly. Entanglements are groundless. If you realign your course with present reality, you are well grounded. If you don't, you will make bad mistakes. Now is a good time to reevaluate your plans, dreams, and goals. Imagining new places to go is of no use if you can't see where you are. And in any case, even the clearest of plans is not immune to chance. Image. Below heaven, thunder moves. All things interact without entanglement. The ancient kings, with abundant growth in accord with the seasons, nourished the 10,000 things. Those who are without entanglement are like the natural world, effortlessly in harmony with the quality of the time, connected to the natural movement of heaven, with the immediacy of thunder. The ancient kings could nourish the whole world with the abundance of seasonal growth, without ever making anything grow. Sequence. Being without entanglement follows from hexagram 24, returning, and so truly without entanglement. If you come back to your own path and calmly follow where it leads, naturally you will be free of entanglement. First, you nurture your inner sense of the way and allow time for this seed to germinate. Then you can disentangle from illusion and connect with the underlying truth, and the seed can grow in its season. Pair. Without entanglement forms a pair with hexagram 26, great taming. Without entanglement means calamity. Great taming means the right time. Without entanglement marks a time when bad things can happen through no fault of your own. It is a time to disengage from the misfortune. Not yet the right moment to assume ownership of everything in your domain and take action. In our supporting hexagram 6, which puts our primary hexagram in a broader context and influence a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all, Hilary Barrett calls hexagram 6 arguing. Key questions. What are you arguing for? If you can't win this one, what else can you do? Oracle. Arguing. There is truth and confidence blocked. Vigilant and centered, good fortune. Ending, pitfall. Fruitful to see great people, fruitless to cross the great river. You argue for what you need, for sustenance, or to be believed, or simply for justice. For you know in your bones that things are not as they should be. Yet no matter how deep and true your convictions, you find yourself frustrated, and your sense of being in resonance and connected with the world is choked off. It's important now to center yourself in vigilance, in a heart open and alert to all the potentials for change, so you stay poised and capable of responsive movement in any direction. To freeze into combative, defiant posture, holding on to your sense of wrongness to the bitter end, would not resolve conflict, but only establish it in perpetuity. When frustrated and blocked, you need to see great people. Those whose higher perspective enables them to see beyond the argument to a larger truth. Perhaps you can find that shift in perspective within yourself. Perhaps you need to consult with someone wiser who is outside the conflict. Meanwhile, it's fruitless to commit yourself further to your position out of sheer defiance. Image. Heaven joins with stream, contradictory movements, arguing. A noble one, starting work, plans how to begin. Water flows downhill away from heaven. Your inner momentum diverges from the immutable laws, pulled away by the flow of emotion. You're in dispute with how it is. This dissenting impulse inspires you to start work and take action. Arguing makes for much better beginnings than endings. In order to direct the inner momentum intelligently without worsening the conflict, a noble one thinks of heaven joining with the stream. He plans from the outset how to bring the emotional currents of commitment back into accord with absolute principles. Sequence. Arguing follows from hexagram 5, waiting. Drinking and eating naturally mean arguing. When our needs and appetites are involved, we will fight. And when we argue, need and the fear of lack probably motivate us. Hexagram 5 waits for what it needs. Hexagram 6 demands it. These birds. We'll now turn back to hexagram 25, our primary hexagram, and read changing lines 1 and 2, which put a pin in the map to say you are here, or at least here are some places you may find yourself. They take precedence over all other elements. They each have their own general context. Changing line 1 has the general context. Inklings just beginning to sense what could be involved or needed. Changing line 2 has the general context, the heart's perception, the emotional center, where you make and feel connections. If they don't agree with one another, we'll just see what that might mean for us in our own personal lives. Changing line 1, without entanglement, going on, good fortune. When there are obstacles, perhaps when the free flow of communication is blocked, this does not mean it is your job to engage and grapple with the problem. Making progress is not the same thing as clearing blockages. Not when you can simply walk past them, disentangled, and move on. And changing line 2. Not plowing and reaping, not weeding cleared fields, and so then it is fruitful to have a direction to go. The endless round of farming chores blurs into a frenzy of work. There would be no use in getting caught up in all that effort without ever clarifying whether it will achieve what you want. After all, you're not your work. So when you stop trying to do everything at once, then it will be worthwhile to know your next step, which is as much as you need to know. Then you can go your way, both lightly and purposefully, joining with the more potent creative energy. We will now see what James Dekorne has to say. He is a practitioner of the Tao and has synthesized several I Ching commentaries into one helpful place. I've left links to it in the description box below. He calls it the Gnostic Book of Changes. Hexagram 25 he calls Innocence. Other titles might be the unexpected, the unintentional, the symbol of freedom from error, integrity, without embroiling, pestilence, fidelity, no error, freedom from vainness, instinctive goodness, the simple, correctness, subconscious. A quote from D.F. Hook, whatever happens, keep calm and do what is right. Judgment, leg. Innocence indicates progress and success through firm correctness. If the action of its subject is incorrect, he will fall into error. In such a case, it will not be advantageous to move in any direction. Blowfold, integrity, the unexpected. This hexagram has two widely different meanings, both of which occur in what follows. Sublime success, righteous persistence brings reward. Those opposed to righteousness meet with injury. It is not favorable to have in view any goal or destination. Usually this sentence may be taken to have a wide application, but in this case, the Confucian commentary suggests that it applies only to the enemies of righteousness, though it does have a general application for those who receive a moving line for the 6th place. Ritsuma/Karcher, without embroiling. Spring growing, harvesting trial, one in no way correcting, possessing blunder, not harvesting, possessing directed going. This hexagram describes your situation as being without confusion or fault. It emphasizes that acting while remaining free from entangling, vanity, or recklessness is the adequate way to handle it. To be in accord with the time, you are told, act without becoming embroiled. The image, leg, thunder rolls under heaven, and everything manifests its original nature, free from all insincerity. The ancient kings, in accordance with this, made their regulations in complete accordance with the seasons, thereby nourishing all things. Blowfold. This hexagram symbolizes thunder rolling across the whole earth. From it, all things receive their integrity. The lower trigram is pictured as thunder, but it acts through its power to quicken growth. The ancient rulers gave abundant and timely nourishment to all. Wu, thunder moves under heaven. All things participate in the spirit of freedom from vainness. The ancient kings acted in time to cause all people and things to flourish. Commentary. Confucius/Leg. Innocence shows the dynamic first line descending from the upper trigram to become the lord of the hexagram in the lower trigram. We see the attributes of motive, power, and strength. The dynamic fifth line is central and responded to by the magnetic second line. It is the will of heaven that true progress can only proceed from correctness. If the action of the subject is incorrect, he will fall into error, and it will be unfortunate for him to move in any direction. Where can one with the illusion of innocence proceed? Can anything be accomplished by someone without the assistance of heaven's will? Leg. Of the two Chinese characters which symbolize innocence, one is the symbol of being reckless and often of being insincere. These two characters in combination describe a state of entire freedom from such a condition. The subject of the hexagram, therefore, is one who is simple and sincere. This quality is characteristic of heaven and of the highest style of humanity. The figure is an essay on this noble attribute, but an absolute rectitude is essential to it. The nearer one comes to the ideal of the quality, the more powerful will be his influence and the greater his success. But let him see to it that he never swerve from being correct. Anthony. Innocence means to let go of the present, thereby letting the future become what it will and being at peace with it. When we have learned to do a thing for its own sake, we know the meaning of innocence. In keeping our minds open and free, we are able to meet unexpected events with the help of the creative, which always points out the correct and most appropriate response. I believe the creative is what James Dekorne calls Hexagram 1, which is just all solid lines. Other translations might call it heaven. Notes and paraphrases, judgment. Success is possible only if you are impeccably correct. If such is not the case, take no action at all. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. The superior man acts in harmony with the times. The ancient kings in the image are mentioned by name in 7 hexagrams. See the commentary on hexagram number 20, Contemplation, for a fuller discussion of their symbolism. Here, the image shows them synchronizing their laws with the laws of nature, an archetypal concept which is found in many mystical traditions. Here is the alchemical version. A quote from Paracelsus. The individual terrestrial life should correspond to the laws governing the universe. Man's spiritual aspirations should be directed to harmonize with the wisdom of God. If we accomplish this, the inner consciousness will awaken to an understanding of the influences of the stars, and the mysteries of nature will be revealed to his spiritual perception. In terms of the hexagram of innocence, the idea is that if you are truly synchronized with your inner cosmos, if you are truly innocent, i.e. perfect, you may succeed under the prevailing conditions. But if you are not in complete inner accord, you would be well advised to sit tight and take no action. To paraphrase the last sentence of the Confucian commentary, can the ego do anything advantageously without the concurrence of the self? A quote from Matthew 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. To use the Christian injunction in illustration, the upper trigram of heaven is perfect, and the lower trigram of movement is asked to reflect on how far he conforms to this ideal. In psychological terms, how do the goals of the ego compare with those of the self, the entity to whom the work is dedicated? Wilhelm has some interesting commentary on this hexagram, stating that it can indicate unexpected misfortune. In his book, Lectures on the I Ching, he comments, Wu Wang is very peculiar, and its name is not easy to translate. I have used innocence or the unintentional. Having meanwhile thought about the matter more, I would today render Wu Wang with the term subconscious, even though this expression seems somewhat too modern. That which is divorcement, severs life, enters here into unconscious realms. That which as divorcement severs life enters here into unconscious realms. Because the shock is within and is unconscious, it cannot take its course and therefore causes the unexpected to happen. An unexpected disaster is afoot. Something may be robbed or stolen. See line 3 and its commentaries for further insights into Wilhelm's ideas here. To receive this hexagram without changing lines is tantamount to being asked if you are perfect enough to take action without harm. Sometimes, depending on circumstances, it can also suggest that your position is correct and blameless. As always, the context of your query will leave no doubt when this latter interpretation is intended. If there is doubt, rephrase the question and ask until you understand. The oracle uses ambiguity to develop your intuition, especially so on those occasions when all you want is a quick answer. Suggestions for meditation. Compare what is said here about the ancient kings with what is said about them in hexagrams 8, 16, 20, 21, 24, and 59. What common theme unites them, and how does it relate to the concept of the work? Now we'll turn to our supporting hexagram 6 that puts our primary hexagram in a broader context and influence a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all, which is called stress. Hexagram 6, stress. Other titles might be conflict, the symbol of contention, strife, litigation, quarreling, arguing, lawsuit. A quote from D.F. Hook. It is important to mind one's step at the very beginning, then things will have a chance to work out all right. Judgment, leg. Stress indicates that despite sincere motivations, one still meets with opposition and obstruction. Maintain an apprehensive caution. To prosecute the contention to the bitter end will produce evil results. It is advantageous to see the great man. It is not advantageous to cross the great stream. Blowfold, conflict. Confidence accompanied by obstacles. With care, affairs can be made to prosper in their middle course, but the final outcome will be disaster. It is advantageous to visit a great man, but not to cross the great river or sea. In general, this hexagram indicates that we have little chance of success in any conflict, dispute, or lawsuit in which we are now engaged, and that retreat is the best policy. Unless line 1 or 5 is a moving line, in which case the position is more hopeful. We can profit from the advice of someone truly wise, but a journey of any kind at this time would be disastrous. Ritsuma/Karger, arguing, possessing conformity, blocking awe, centering significant, completing pitfall, harvesting, visualizing great people, not harvesting, wading the great river. This hexagram describes your situation in terms of a dispute. It emphasizes that actively expressing your claims and objections is the adequate way to handle it. To be in accord with the time, you are told to argue. And the image, leg, the image of water moving away from heaven forms stress. The superior man, in accordance with this, takes good counsel about the beginning of any enterprise. Commentary, Confucius/Leg, the coming together of strength and peril gives the idea of stress. A dynamic line in the central place in the lower trigram shows how there will be good fortune if one maintains apprehensive caution. But because contention should not be taken to extremes, there will be evil if one prosecutes his contention to the bitter end. The great man sets a value on the due mean. If one attempts to cross the great stream, he finds himself in an abyss. Let me let the cat in. Sorry, apologies. Leg. The upper trigram of strength here controls the lower trigram of peril, which is trying to attack it. Or it may also be seen as someone in a perilous situation, contending with strong outside forces. The images of contention and strife. The sincere yang line in the middle of the trigram of peril gives a character to the whole figure. An individual so represented will be very cautious and have good fortune. But since contention is bad, even a sincere individual must fail if he pursues it to the bitter end. The fifth line represents the great man, whose agency is sure to be good. His decision in any matter of contention will be correct. The sixth line is also dynamic, but his action is likely to be too rash for a great enterprise, hence the warning about not attempting to cross the great stream. Notes and paraphrases. Judgment. Be careful. Don't attempt too much, and don't allow the situation to get out of hand. The superior man is judicious about his choices of action to ensure that the situation remains stable. The hexagram portrays a high level of tension. Wilhelm points out that the only favorable line is the ruler in the fifth place, and that all of the other lines symbolize people quarreling. It should also be noted that lines 1 through 4 counsel either retreat from contention or remaining passively in place. Only line 5 suggests that an active struggle can have a favorable outcome, and line 6 portrays the sorry fate of those who insist on demanding their rights. If we turn the hexagram upside down, we have waiting, which suggests some subtle truths about the proper way to handle stress. A quote from Proverbs 17:19. He who has a taste for dispute has a taste for blows. The man of haughty speech courts destruction. And Confucius. At deciding lawsuits, I am no better than anyone else. But what is necessary is to bring about a state of affairs in which there will be no lawsuits. Note that Ritzimo/Karcher's summation of the judgment stands in stark disagreement with the general tenor of the figure. I have never received this hexagram when that interpretation has applied. We'll now go back to hexagram 25 to read our changing lines 1 and 2, which put a pin in the map to say you are here, or at least here are some places you may find yourself. Takes precedence over all other elements. Changing line 1 has the general context. Inklings just beginning to sense what could be involved or needed. Changing line 2 has the general context, the heart's perception, the emotional center, where you make and feel connections. Changing line 1, leg. The first line, dynamic, shows its subject free from all insincerity. His advance will be accompanied with good fortune. Clary 1, fidelity, without error, it is auspicious to go. Wu, without vainness, he will proceed with auspiciousness. Commentary. Confucius/leg. When he who is free from insincerity makes any movement, he will get what he desires. Wilhelm/Baines. Innocent behavior attains its will. Blofeld. What is willed comes to pass. Ritzimo/Karcher. Acquiring purpose indeed. Cleary 2. One attains one's aspiration. Wu. He will have his aspirations fulfilled. Leg. The first line is dynamic at the bottom of the trigram of movement. His action will characterize all the actions set forth, and will itself be fortunate. This is another way of saying that true goodness may expect good fortune by the appointment of heaven. Notes and paraphrases. At the outset, the man follows the original pure impulses of his heart. His aims will be achieved. Wing. Acting with integrity and spontaneity will bring you success. You may trust your instincts because there is goodness in your heart. Good fortune is willed. Editor. This is a very favorable line, showing one who is worthy and able to advance under the conditions described in the judgment. A quote from Racine. I don't know what that is. Innocence has nothing to dread. James Dekorne breaks down changing line 1 into one succinct possible definition. Maintain an open mind and follow the intuition of the heart. Changing line 2. Leg. The second line, magnetic, shows one who reaps without having plowed and gathers the produce of her third year's fields without having cultivated them for that end. To such a one there will be advantage in whatever direction she may move. Wilhelm/Baines. If one does not count on the harvest while plowing, nor on the use of the ground while clearing it, it furthers one to undertake something. Blowfold, do not calculate the size of the harvest while the plowing is still in progress, nor gloat over the third year's crop while still planting the virgin ground. It is favorable to seek some object or destination. Lu, do not count the harvest while planting, nor plow the field that lies in fallow. There is advantage in undertaking something. Commentary, Confucius/Leg. She reaps without having plowed. The thought of riches to be gotten had not risen in her mind. Wilhelm/Baines, one does not seek wealth. Blowfold, it is not meet to calculate profits as such an early stage, nor can we expect to become rich soon. I bet that's at an early stage. Ritsima/Karcher, not yet of affluence indeed. Cleary 2, one is not enriched. This means aspiring only to attain enlightenment, not thinking of riches or rank. Then it is beneficial to go somewhere. Wu, for he is not after material rewards. Leg, line 2 is magnetic, central, and in her correct place. She is entirely free from selfish or mercenary motives. She is good for the sake of goodness, and things are such that her action will be successful. She does what she does because it is right, not because of any gain it might bring her. Notes and paraphrases, Sue. The man succeeds in everything he undertakes. He does not proceed with mercenary or selfish interests in mind, but does good things for their own sake. Unsought wealth will come his way. Wing. Do not dream about the results of your work or the attainment of your goal. Instead, take action for its own sake and devote your full attention to what you are now doing. Only in this way can you achieve your aim. Anthony. Innocence means to answer the duty required by the moment, regardless of consequences, looking neither forward nor backward. If we have hopes and expectations, we are disappointed when things do not work out on our imagined schedule. Editor. The idea here is that the times are favorable to undertake something only if you are free of ulterior motives. Because Wilhelm's translation of this line is conditional, there is a suggestion that there may be some temptation towards selfishness within the situation. Keep an open mind and remain receptive to your experience. Quote from Luke 12:27-32. Think of the flowers. They never have to spin or weave. Yet I assure you, not even Solomon in all his regalia was robed like one of these. You must not set your hearts on things to eat and things to drink, nor must you worry. Your Father well knows you need them. No, set your hearts on his kingdom, and these other things will be given to you as well. James Dekorne breaks changing line 2 down into two possible succinct definitions, A and B. A, you aren't out to make a point, but to do something for its own sake. B, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. We will also read our hexagrams from I-ming's Taoist I Ching that he wrote in 1796's Taoist Adept. Whew, got cold fingers. So I'm gonna hold them over this candle. All right. Our primary hexagram 25 from Lu I-ming's Taoist I Ching. He calls 25 Fidelity, no error. Fidelity is creative and developmental. It is beneficial to be correct. If it is not correct, there will be disaster, and it will not be beneficial to go anywhere. Explanation. Fidelity means wholehearted sincerity without duplicity. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is heaven, strong, and below is thunder, active. Being active, firm, and strong, wherever one's determination lies, one carries it out. Therefore, it is called fidelity. This hexagram represents vigorous advancement of yang. It follows on the previous hexagram, stripping away. Stripping away means that when one submits to one's desires, yin strips away yang. The stripping away of yang is all because of not knowing how to advance yang and having it stripped away by yin. If you know how to advance yang, and with total attention purely on reality, 24 hours a day without interruption, consider essence in life the one matter of importance, then external things cannot thwart you, and you can gradually reach true fidelity, the state of integration with celestial principle. This is fidelity with the path of creation and development. In the hexagram, the action is in the inside. This is setting the will on the Tao. Once the heart is set on the Tao and the living potential is activated, the original creative energy returns. In the hexagram, the strength is on the outside. This is earnestness in practice. When earnest in practice, celestial qualities can be cultivated and the original creative energy can grow. It is through this restoration and growth that fidelity is creative and developmental. However, though one be capable of creativity and development, it is of course inevitable that it is only beneficial if the action is correct and the strength is correct. When action is correct, the original creative energy is not damaged. When strength is correct, the original creative energy increases. By correct fidelity, the mind of Tao is always present. The human mentality becomes extinct, and one sees again the original self as it really is, at peace, unmoved by myriad things. If fidelity is not right, then when one acts, it is not at the right time, and exertion of strength is inappropriate. Though one originally wanted fidelity without error, on the contrary, one produces falsehood and error. This is called disaster, in which case it is not beneficial to go anywhere. The advancement of yang is aimed at fidelity to truth, because there is vanity in falsehood. Fidelity that is not right does things on the basis of the human mind, acting in pursuit of personal desires. Then the medicinal substances are not genuine. The firing process is amiss. How can one complete the great path? Therefore, the path of fidelity, in which creation and development are inherent, is most beneficial when correctly oriented. Only then is it genuine fidelity without error. And our supporting hexagram 6, which puts our primary hexagram in a broader context and influence a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. 6, he calls contention. Contention, there is blockage of truth. Caution and moderation lead to good results. Finality leads to bad results. It is beneficial to see a great person, not beneficial to cross a great river. Explanation. Contention means contention to decide right and wrong. As for the qualities of the hexagram, inside is water, dangerous, and outside is heaven, strong. Relying on strength because of danger, and causing danger by force. Both have the meaning of violation of harmony, therefore it is called contention. This hexagram represents the downfall of truth and the contest for victory. It follows on the previous hexagram, darkness. In darkness there is danger, yet one is able to stop, whereby to effect progress of the yin of the acquired temperament. People receive the energy of the temporally conditioned yin and yang and 5 elements, which forms their body. Those who have received excessive yin energy are wily, while those who have received excessive yang energy are impetuous. Those whose yin and yang energies are mixed up are both wily and impetuous. People are such because of their temperaments. Only great sages can change their temperaments, while lesser people are bound by their temperaments. When they are run afoul of, the poison in their negative side acts and they get excited. They contest for victory, eager for power. They plot and scheme to deprive others and benefit themselves. All such things that deviate from harmony and lose balance, arguments, battles of wit, issues of right and wrong, are called contention. People who practice the Tao need to know that the nature of the temperament is most harmful. To practice the principles of the Tao in the context of the events of the world, first erase wile and impetuosity at one stroke. Be inwardly strong but not outwardly aggressive. Then there may be danger in the environment, but there will be no danger in the heart. In this way, one may gradually transmute the temperament and not remain in the clamor of the realm of right and wrong. However, as long as one is still in the world, there is still the possibility of being afflicted by troubles and difficulties. Even if you are not wily yourself, people can hurt you by their craft. Even if you are not impetuous yourself, people can fool you by what they do. This hurts your self-confidence without reason, and even though you have nothing to be ashamed of, you suffer frustration because of it and reach an impasse. When matters get to where vindication is necessary, rather than desire justification outwardly, it is better to contend with yourself inwardly. Therefore the text says, contention, there is blockage of truth. Caution and moderation lead to good results. If you can be cautious and moderate, wrong thoughts will stop and right thought will arise. The impasse can be penetrated and wile can be changed. Victory seeking can be eliminated. Otherwise, if you cannot be cautious and moderate, you will lose out in an important matter because of a little anger. Impetuosity will appear outwardly while guile will arise inwardly. Without having won others, you will have already hurt yourself. If you are not careful in the beginning, the end will surely be bad. However, there are also situations where caution, moderation, and self-struggle do not clear the matter up, and it is necessary to appeal to another, depending on someone to distinguish right and wrong. To distinguish right and wrong, it is beneficial to see a great person. If you do not see a great person, you will not be helped. A great person is one who corrects both self and others, who is able to restrain people's excesses and encourage their virtues, able to solve people's doubts and develop their intelligence. It is most beneficial to see such a person. Otherwise, being unable to exercise caution and moderation so as to change your own temperament, and also unable to see a great person to expand your perception, relying on your own craft alone, contesting for victory, eager for power, overthrowing truth and following falsehood, contending over what should not be contended about, you will call disaster on yourself. Therefore, it is not beneficial to cross a great river. By caution and moderation, you can see a great person. Not being cautious or moderate is crossing a great river. Caution and moderation lead to good results. Being incautious and immoderate lead to bad results. Should not those who practice the Tao contend with themselves to begin with? Again, we will turn to our changing lines 1 and 2 of our primary hexagram 25, Fidelity, no error. And they put a pin in the map to say you are here, or at least here some places you may find yourself. They take precedence over all other elements. Changing line 1 has the general context, inklings, just beginning to sense what could be involved or needed. Changing line 2, the heart's perception, the emotional center, where you make and feel connections. Hexagram 25, Fidelity, no error, changing line 1. Fidelity without error. It is auspicious to go. Explanation. In the beginning of fidelity, when one is firm and has found what is right, one does not dare to have any vanity. The fortunes of human affairs are all in the beginning of arousing thought. If thought is correct, then action is correct. If thought is wrong, action is wrong. If one can be without error within, then one will naturally be without error outwardly. If one goes on thereby to practice the Tao, one will not fail to attain good fortune. This is fidelity in which one is able to be careful in the beginning. And changing line 2. not plowing or harvesting, not making new fields, then it is beneficial to go somewhere. Explanation. When one is flexible but not firm, it is appropriate to be still, not to be active. This is like not plowing or harvesting, not making new fields. To plow and harvest, to open new fields, requires that one have strength and seed to do this. When one is yielding, without firmness, one has no strength, no seed. How can one presume to act arbitrarily? However, if flexibility is properly balanced and one keeps oneself minded, one can borrow another's yang to balance one's own yin. Emptying the mind, one can fill the belly. Using flexibility in this way, it is beneficial to go somewhere. One with error can thus be freed from error. This is fidelity, flexibly following the firm. Just read somewhere that to empty the mind and fill the belly has to do with moving energy from the head down into just below the navel. Something that might be helpful if you're sensing that your head is swelling with energy. I did a little bit of a visualization that involved that was actually pretty helpful with what felt like a bunch of energy in my head. We'll also read from the commentary section in the back on our 2 hexagrams. So 25, no error. Heaven above, thunder below. Thunder moves under heaven, things accompany with no error. Thus did the kings of yore promote flourishing appropriate to the time and nurture myriad beings. No error means no wandering mind and no arbitrary action. Above is heaven, below is thunder. Thunder moves under heaven. When thunder is active in accord with the times of nature, myriad things stir with it. As long as the thunder is without error, myriad things are also without error. This is the image of no error. What the ancient kings saw in this was that just as nature gives birth to beings with time, sages develop people with virtue. Therefore they cause the Tao of perfect sincerity without error to flourish, fulfilling themselves and fulfilling others, responding to the times of nature, nurturing myriad beings, causing all to live according to their true natures, and to eventually be free from error. By promoting flourishing appropriate to the time, so that the growth and the season are in harmony, thus nurturing beings so that all have their places, the activity of nurturing according to the time shares the function of heaven and the movement and stillness of thunder. How could there be error? When practitioners of the Tao make no error in process or proportion, and advance and withdraw, hurry and relax in the proper manner, this also promotes flourishing appropriate to the time. Unifying the elements of being into a single integral energy so that myriad principles ultimately coalesce is also nurturing myriad beings. Developing beings according to the time, all beings are imbued with reality, and all ultimately are free from error. Thus it is that heaven and thunder have no error. Thus it is that the ancient kings had no error, and thus it is too that the practice of the Tao is without error. The way to be free from error is to act in a manner that is appropriate to the time. And then changing line 6 that puts our primary hexagram in a broader context and influence the direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. Contention, heaven above, water below. When heaven and water go in different directions, there is contention. Superior people plan in the beginning when they do things. Contention means argument over right and wrong. Above is heaven, below is water. Heaven is most high, water is most low. So heaven and water go in different directions and do not meet. This is the image of contention. What superior people see in this is that aggressiveness and guile, competitiveness and desire for power are the beginnings of beckoning disaster in business and social relations. If one is not careful, one hurts others and damages oneself. Therefore, superior people plan in the beginning when they do things. They do not contend with other people, they contend with themselves. Doing things does not mean one particular action or deed, but all daily activities, practice of the Tao, and establishment of inner character. If one does not plan in the beginning when doing things, one's perception of principles will not be clear, with the result that action will not be appropriate. Being temperamental or impetuous, being unbalanced in action, is accompanied by danger. Therefore, one should plan in the beginning, doing what is to be done, avoiding what is not to be done, being careful in the beginning so as to be able to complete the affair in the end. Doing things means strong action. Planning in the beginning means preventing danger. When one acts after planning and is not careless in action, there is nothing in the world that cannot be done, nothing in the world that cannot be accomplished. Impetuous action is aberrant action. To act dangerously is to beckon danger. In doing things, if one can plan in the beginning, the human mentality will gradually depart and the temperament will gradually sublimate. Joining oneself to others, looking upon others and oneself as the same, there will be no discordant action. We'll now get a randomly card drawn chapter from the Tao Te Ching and sum this up. So we had Fidelity, No Error, and Contention as our hexagrams. Fidelity, No Error. And then we had changing lines 1 and 2. It seemed as though it was similar to like the Fool card in Fidelity, No Error, that there was danger, but with innocence, that it was something that could be surpassed. However, if we didn't check our motives and found out that we were after gain rather than just such things as enlightenment, then we were to not make a move. And then our supporting hexagram, Contention, just shows a lot of potential for conflict with others and potentially in inner conflict as well. So with our changing line 1 and 2, the first line showed that there was success, that forget exactly the situation, but that it was somebody that was acting correctly with innocence. And then the second changing line, I forgot. I think it had to do with also being an auspicious situation. Yeah. Chapter 73 from the Tao Te Ching. Apologies for forgetting our changing lines. Hopefully you were paying attention, unlike me, myself. All right, chapter 73 in the Tao Te Ching. A brave and passionate man will kill or be killed. A brave and calm man will always preserve life. Of these two, which is good and which is harmful? Some things are not favored by heaven. Who knows why? Even the sage is unsure of this. The Tao of heaven does not strive, and yet it overcomes. It does not speak, and yet is answered. It does not ask, yet is supplied with all it needs. It seems at ease, and yet it follows a plan. Heaven's net casts wide. Though its meshes are coarse, nothing slips through.
Love ya.